How do you stay relevant in the AI era? Increasingly, I don't think you can, but you can always try. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that AI is giving everyone when it comes to hyper competition and the creative destruction we're seeing both in the workplace and in the business world. So, what is the actual problem with competition and creative destruction? As consumers, we really like it when we get things that are better, faster, and cheaper. But all of this creative destruction does have some societal costs. If a business loses out to a better, cheaper good, the people who used to work for that business lose their jobs. The people who own that business or lent it money might lose out. And we normally don't complain about this too much because we live in capitalism in the West and this is just how things go. One of the challenges, though, with the information floating around AI is that a lot of the focus has been on the negatives and practically nothing is spoken about when it comes to potential benefits. The ordinary person not only doesn't believe that there will be benefits from AI to them personally in their household or where they work, but they actively believe that AI is just a harmful thing. This is partly why a lot of anti-AI data center stuff has emerged over the last year, not just the perceived environmental issues, but also a lot of the perceived labour market issues. When people cast their mind back to how previous waves of change have impacted Western society, they feel profoundly negative. They don't feel like workers who lost their jobs to outsourcing and offshoring got a fair deal, got help, got some sort of transition support. And they think that if there are a lot of negative AI benefits, i.e. people lose their job, are told it's their own fault, and are given no support to retrain or reskill, or even worse, there are no jobs to retrain into unless you have a very high level of technical skill, it's perfectly understandable why the people hate AI. They haven't seen the cancer cures, and the cancer cures, as far as we're concerned, might never turn up. We just don't know exactly where a lot of this AI stuff is going to play out yet. There are also a range of very real societal risks from better AI capability. We've already seen over the last few weeks a lot of AI cyber risks aren't just science fiction anymore. AI models, if they're not totally locked down, have the capability to engage in things that, if you or I did them, would be a felony. And this sort of cybersecurity risk in a world where a lot of leaders still have never taken technology or cybersecurity seriously mean that as AI models get better and better, more and more ordinary businesses and households are going to be exposed to the risk of bigger privacy and data breaches, because that entry level to successfully breaching a big corporation that thinks it's prepared gets cheaper and cheaper. With the help of AI agents acting as cyber offensive agents, only if the defense side is kept up and everything that can be locked down is locked down, do some of these companies stand a chance in defending against these risks. Now, one of the other problems is that things like social engineering and persuasion will be easier for a lot of these AI agents. Already, the risk of fraud and scams in a lot of the world has skyrocketed over the last few years. And with the help of AI, it's even cheaper to do a lot of the stuff. This is a very real problem. And what we're going to see more of over the next few years is all of these bad, inconvenient, less than ideal outcomes linked to AI. And in the public's mind, what they're going to feel when it comes to AI is an overwhelmingly negative thing. If it's linked to fraud and scams, cybersecurity incidents, and job loss and de-skilling and all this sort of thing, once you've thought about that which is in the public's mind, a lot of the backlash makes total plausible sense. People are operating from a place of fear. They are scared about what's going to happen. Alternatively, there is a big group of people who think all of this is fake marketing and science fiction, and we don't need to worry about any of this. If you're one of those people, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your reasoning behind this. But what we're learning is that all of these risks are feeding into public perceptions and beliefs, and none of it is really focusing on the benefits. So helping you do things better, faster, and cheaper, saving money, saving time, enabling you to focus on more creative, higher work than manual, repetitive tasks that can just be automated. None of that benefit side of things is ever really discussed outside of the people who get it and people making decisions in the corporate world. A lot of workers apparently are even sabotaging AI projects in the workplace because they feel like, why would I help train my replacement, or mindsets like that. And this is a reason why in my newsletter I started pivoting towards more of the change management and people side of AI over the last year, because from my perspective, based on my own extensive testing of AI workflows and building side projects and working with people, what I've learned is that for most business tasks, AI is already overpowered. What this this means is that if you are prompting properly, using the right tools, you've got the right context, you've got the right safety guardrails and governance, and things are scoped properly, so all the things that you need for a successful project anyway, you're going to be able to get a lot of benefit out of many AI use cases in almost any business. The challenge is a lot of companies have leaders who think that if they just pay for your ChatGPT license or Claude license, job's done. That's just not how project success works. You need to do the training and upskilling so people are empowered to actually experiment, make mistakes, learn from them, and build that process knowledge that helps them identify where you still need the human in the loop and all of these things where that disruption isn't going to happen for a long time to the people who are capable of making those taste and curation and assessment decisions around AI use in the workplace and other organizations. So this whole thing is like this jagged, slow adoption challenge, but the cost side has been, I think, almost sensationalized to a point because it merges into all of these societal myths and memes that we have around AI capability, like the Terminator thing and all these sci-fi theories. And robots don't help either because people think that already there's a big risk with robotic killer drones and all this sort of thing, and AI on top means it's just the end of the world coming. That's not what I think is going to happen. That's just my opinion, but a lot of people think this way. So when we map it back to why is there slow AI adoption, why are a lot of people quite concerned about AI risks, you can be concerned about things but also see the potential benefits of the technology. I'm not sure exactly where all of this is going to end up, but one thing I am confident in is that there are going to be some benefits, and one question which is a big problem to work through is what the distribution of those benefits is going to be. If the benefits of AI and all of the cost savings and higher margins just go to one group of people and workers get thrown to the side and there's no transition support and no handouts and something like that, well, you're probably not going to end up, if you're benefiting from all of this, getting away with it scot-free. There are going to be political costs and there are going to be social costs, and a lot of these economic and social risks I think are actually much more real than some of the extreme sci-fi paperclip maximizer type risks. The risk is the unemployment rate staying over a certain threshold for so long and these new jobs not materializing fast enough and people who lost their jobs not being the people who are getting the new jobs for a lot of societal disruption to really take off quite quickly. Just look at how fast governments acted in the early days of COVID when unemployment skyrocketed. We also have the track record of the big tech companies. A lot of people absolutely despise them, so the fact that there's a new mega tech group of companies that could have even more potentially negative societal impact means that this is just like building on a sore wound. People already hate how a lot of the social media thing has played out. They hate how a lot of those societal consequences have been papered over, and even things like the social media bans or attempts at them for teenagers and that are still not considered to be enough punishment for some of the societal costs that those companies have imposed on everyone else, putting to aside all of the benefits that we get from social media. This scenario means that we're in a really interesting place because all of these things are going to happen. We're not going to magically put AI back in a box and go back to a pre-GPT era. So the more I've used the tools, the more I've realized that some of the darker risks are very real indeed. Yet so many people in public life are still not taking any of this seriously, and that's a real problem. So if you've got thoughts about all of this, I'd like you to drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll talk about more like this on the channel over the coming weeks.